generation. Who do you wanna be? Get into your own thing. Everybody free, 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 and get into your own thing. Everybody free, 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 and get into your own thing. Everybody free, 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 and get into your own thing.
Hey, what's up? I'm Scramblelock from Montreal, Canada, and I'm chilling right now in Dublin, Ireland, as part of my 2.5-month-long tour across Europe. Just traveling around, teaching locking, entering some battles, just living the life of a dancer basically for 2 months. So I started locking about 10 years ago in 2000. That's when I first saw this dance, and there were two brothers from my hometown in Toronto, Licorice Lloyd and Boogaloo Storm. These are the guys that first introduced me to locking. They showed me videos of the lockers, and they really broke down what this dance is and really helped me to understand what the dance was all about. After that, I met a lot of different people who really helped push me forward to really just do more research and study this dance and really go back to the roots. So I got to give a shout out to Disco Dave. He was one of the first guys that I met outside of my boys from Toronto. After that, fortunate enough to have met Don Campbell, the creator of locking, and through Don, also met Fluky Luke, Greg Campbell-Lock Jr. These guys I have so much respect for. They've shared so much, and you know, it's all love too, which is dope. I also have to shout out Richie Rich, Gemini, Flowmaster, Sugar Pop, OG Skeeter Rabbit. These are all guys who have taught me. I've learned from them. I got to give so much respect to them. Loose Caboose. These are all really my main teachers who I've been fortunate enough to learn from. So I have to give a shout out to them. Much respect. Yeah, I also got to give a shout out to Frank Boogie from Canada. He's not a locker, but he's serious about popping, and he's been a good person to talk to in terms of like understanding. He's like really up there. I don't know. Gemini and Richie have been really the two biggest influences on me. Gemini, Richie, OG Skeeter Rabbit, those guys were the top. They really, you know, took me in, really tried to show me the whole thing about locking. The thing that I cherish most about what I've learned from a lot of these guys is that they said to me, never let anybody tell you that you're doing something wrong, but always stay open and learn from everybody. And if you have this open mind of being able to learn locking from many different people, you're going to get many different people. You're going to get different approaches to this dance, different feelings. It's really just going to help you make you be a more well-rounded dancer. So that was one of the most important things that Richie has said to me, and Gemini. When you see how he's traveled around, he's done a lot of things. So much respect to these guys.
Everybody's free, 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 and get into your own thing. Everybody's free, 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 free.
This trip around Europe is my second time. I did this last year as well. Just took 2 months off and decided to travel around Europe to attend some events, teach some workshops, and just meet some of the old school cats in the different cities and get to learn about every city's different view on hip hop, on funk, on their own history. Because for me, it's like a learning experience everywhere I go. Every city's got a different story, and every city has different dancers. So meeting these people has been really cool because I've really learned a lot about what hip hop means to different people, what funk means to different people, what locking means to different people. So I decided I wanted to come back because there were some other cities that I haven't been, and yeah, so it was really cool because it's really just opening me up to more of the different approaches and views people have, and how much really hip hop has grown over the last few years, over the years. Some of the countries that were new for me on this trip have been Poland. I've never been to Poland before, anywhere around Eastern Europe. I did a little Eastern European tour. I went from Poland and went all the way up to Estonia, and I was a locking judge there for the Baltic Session, organized by JJ Street. It was a really cool event. And then I made my way down, all the way down to Lithuania, and my family's roots are from Lithuania, so I decided to travel around and visit there, and I did a week-long tour around there, and then I made my way back here to Ireland, and now I'm just bouncing back and forth to different countries. Okay, so in Canada, we have 3 main cities that have like the most street dancers in Canada. There's Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver. Then there's also other cities like Calgary, Edmonton, Halifax that have different scenes that are growing in terms of b-boying and locking and popping. So it's a big country, but there's only a few cities where there's dancers who are really trying to expand and big things up. So in Montreal, in my city, there's a lot of dancers. It's a really good city to live in because there's so many dancers. Popping's really big, locking's getting up there. I gotta give a shout out to my partner Scramblelock. He's the one that we did Just the Boo together. We just did UK Champs last month. So he's kind of the one that I've grown with in the last few years, but there's also Boombo, there's my friend Miko, we're all very close. Also in Toronto, there's Baby L, or Lydia. She puts on an event called What the Funk. It's happening in December or November, and no, it's happening in November. So make sure you check out What the Funk if you're in Hong Kong. But yeah, Lydia, she's been doing a lot to help locking grow in Canada. And then in the West Coast, you have my man Sun, you have the Groovy G's who have been helping like all the funk styles grow. Well, right now I think there isn't really, in terms of locking, a Canadian style of locking per se. There's a general agreement between everybody that, you know, we need to study this dance, we need to go out and we need to learn from everybody. Everybody's got a different flavor. I mean, when I'm dropping names like Miko, Boombo, Scramblelock, Lydia, all these guys have different looks to the way they dance, so they have their own feeling, right? And that's the thing about locking, is like, there are different styles. Some people call them styles, some people call them feelings, okay? And so I can see that all these dancers have different feelings because it depends on their influences as well, who they learn from, okay? And they have that influence, and so you can see that in their dancing. That's it's cool, but there's nothing that I can say that is a clear-cut Canadian style right now. I think a lot of people are just really focused on learning the dance and learning everything about this dance before really working to develop their own style.
Into the future, tell me what you see.
Brothers and sisters holding hands, and you sitting next to me now.
Battles for me, in the past year, you know, I went into in the last year, I'd say there's 5 or 6 main battles that I came out to enter and compete in. And for the most part, you know, back home, I was training really hard, working hard, and it was a good growth process, a good time for me to really expand and grow and just really develop a lot of skills that I've been wanting to bring up as a dancer. So it's been really cool. In terms of the actual battles, I haven't done so well in the last year, but at the same time, losing isn't necessarily always a bad thing. Sometimes you learn a lot from losing battles, and that's what's really cool because, you know, initially when I was first starting out, I was winning some really big contests, which has been really cool, and then come to other events and you don't make it past the first round. It can be very distressing, but I think after this year I've really realized what's important, and it's not necessarily always winning the battle, it's just having that experience to be able to dance, to meet people, to see the strategies that people use when they battle. These are all things that you pick up when you're in a contest, whether you win or you lose. And so for me, I think this year has been a really good growing process. Battles might not have been won, but personally I find that I've won a lot of important elements in terms of like knowledge and gaining, so it was good. It's a good year. Good year. I wouldn't have traded it for anything, you know. I could have worked a 9 to 5 and just stayed at home, but I've been fortunate, been blessed to be able to travel like I have, and yeah, it's been really cool. This year has been really cool because I've had the opportunities to travel a lot. Been to many different events, many different battles in different countries, and seen a lot of the locking scene here in Europe. So You know, over the last couple years, I've been studying this dance just as much as anybody, and it's been interesting to see how the style of locking is kind of expressed here in Europe. It's a little bit different from what I've seen, you know, back home in Canada and back when I go to LA. It's very different, but it's cool still too, because I mean, every city, especially in France and in the UK, they have their own history with locking, and a lot of really dope lockers came from France, came from the UK, and have still been holding it down for a long time. Got to give a shout out to Junior from France, to Gemini from France. These are the guys who really paved the way for locking, and really it's spread out all across Europe. It wasn't for those guys, but also in the UK you have Pat Cesar, Jimmy Williams, a lot of old school cats from the 80s who have really helped bring street dance basically to Europe. So to meet these guys has been cool. But to get back on track, the locking scene in general over the last year, I've seen a lot of things, and to be honest, like, the level hasn't been very high. When you look at other events or other dance styles at these events, you have popping, hip-hop, house, whacking, which is fairly new, but you can see that the level of these dances is very high, especially as just a boot. And it was kind of, it kind of becomes a little bit distressing when you see the level of the lockers not as high. When you meet people who go to these events and when they say, okay, now we're gonna do a locking contest, they say, oh, okay, well, I don't wanna see locking, I'm gonna go take a break now because it's a clowny dance. But in reality, that's not true. A lot of my teachers have, you know, explained that this dance is a very powerful dance. It can be a powerful dance. And I think that a lot of people are kind of misinterpreting that, and they're not actually aware at that point. I think in this year, though, this is a very important year, and I think a lot of things are changing. More people are becoming aware of the true potential of locking, the power that this dance can have, and are really working hard to bring it up to the higher level that it can be at. And so when you talk about some of the events that I've been to, like at Just Taboo, there was some crews from China, from France, like Hilti and Bosch. Those guys are nasty. The kids from China that ended up winning Just Taboo, they were on point. There's a lot of good people who are still, you know, pushing this dance forward and bringing it up. So on one side, I would say, yeah, the level isn't as high, but in the select few that are serious about this dance, they're really pushing it to make it something powerful. So there's good and bad, I think, and that's really what I've seen.